When we've made a contribution and somebody who may not have been cast is cast, that is the most exciting thing I could say. There have been several instances where that has happened. Somebody was not asked back for a callback and we've said, no, we're going to throw them into the callbacks, and then they get the part. And it's mutually rewarding for all of them. You know, the producer is thrilled and the actor is thrilled. You know, sometimes just making that contribution, having the opportunity to make the contribution, you know, somebody who is open to the idea, a director or a producer who are open to your creative contribution. And then just the major satisfaction of finding that role for somebody that they might not have had. You know, it really is, it is, I mean, it may sound corny, but it truly is those moments when you're connected with an actor and you know that this is going to, you know, bring them to life, to have this part. And as I said, it's just so mutually satisfying for everybody, because I know that I had gotten a phone call once from a casting director in LA that I had worked with on a couple of shows. And she had asked me for a specific type of actor. Did I know anybody? They didn't have the money to hire a casting director, but did I know of anybody that might be interesting for a role? And it was a film that was shooting in LA with Renee Zellweger. And they were looking for the younger brother of George Hamilton. The story was his George Hamilton story. And they described the role. And I happened to have watched the special features of a DVD of a film done in Canada, sorry. And I thought to myself, I had retained some of the notes about this actor, and I had suggested to her that fellow. And I said, did you see this guy? And he was in LA at the time, actually. And they called him, and they had been looking for this role for a long time. And they called him, and he got the part. And so that was just such an exciting thing for me, because it's almost like name that tune. I can name that tune in one actor. So those are some of the fun moments. I think an actor has to be really prepared. Just do the homework. And realize that your audition starts from the minute that you walk in the room and ends when you leave. And sometimes even beyond, because, you know, it's a professional job interview. And so everything really registers. How prepared you are, you know, is I'd say primary. Ultimately, you have to make choices with the material. You don't necessarily have all the information. You're given a selection of the scene and a description of the story and the character. And unless you've had chances to read the script and perhaps even have some sort of inside scoop on what the director is looking for, it's difficult for you, with probably very little time, to turn that around and immediately get exactly what they're looking for. So you have to make a choice, and making that choice, and hopefully an educated choice, really, I'd say, brings the most attention to you. Then from there, I would say you need to not leave any of the details out, because when you're looking at that material, just as myself, when I'm preparing for the auditions, if there's something in the material that doesn't make sense, it's usually the key. And I have done that a couple of times where I have slipped over a word or a line, and I thought, you know, it doesn't mean anything, there's no significance, and that's exactly where the significance in the storyline resides. So actually bringing that material to life by looking at all the details as much as possible and understanding what your choices are based on. Because when you bring it to life, when we're engaged in what we're looking at, we can't help but be attracted to it and want you to inhabit that part. I mean, making a contribution and seeing it actually develop in the show, you know, where there is an actor that has been connected. It is the very core of what I do. connecting the right actor with the right project and having everybody be really excited about it. But having made that contribution, you know, having made the decision to include that actor, whereas they might not have otherwise been included. It's a huge amount of satisfaction. And so to be able to do that on a daily basis, and you know, that's the exciting part. Doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, woo-hoo. I think everybody has to realize, actors have to realize that we're on their side, that we want them to be cast, that we want to try to find the role that will make them look really good, and at the same time satisfy the needs of the show, because we are engaged by the show to make decisions, to make choices. So I think misunderstanding is really frustrating to us. I think, you know, misinterpretation, if people don't understand that we're all on the same team, that's really hard, because we're working through some really difficult circumstances on a daily basis. We probably have the exact same lives, because you're delivered material sometimes very last minute, and so too are we. And we're trying to do the best we can. And to feel like we're all working together makes a huge difference. To feel like you're fighting or battling the very people that you want to try to, you know, work with, it's very hard. It's very frustrating. Get out there. Get out and do the work. Do the work. Get, you know, whether that be in theater, whether that be in web series, whether that be in, you know, actual theater and film and television, do it. And invite the casting people to see your work. And if they don't come to see your work, send them links to your work. Educate the casting directors. We need to know what you can do. So getting out and doing it, then that's for us. That's for the productivity of your career. On the side of just feeling, you know, because it's hard for an actor, I find, to constantly be going into auditions and not always getting the part. I think you have to go in and do your best and let it go. But I have to say you own that role for those 5 or 10 minutes that you're performing it. And then you need to let it go, but you need to continue to develop your own work. Because I think the sensation of being at the mercy of someone else is what is the most damaging to you and, you know, like to the actor. It's damaging to you and your soul, because you feel that everything is in somebody else's hands. So the more you can contribute to creating your own work, it just gives you a more healthy attitude when you do go in to do your auditions, and it won't be as desperate a situation. And then I think you need to realize that the casting of you or not is not an indication of whether you are good or bad. You have to have your self-value come from knowing that you've done a good job. I'm up against the same thing. When I do a job, I'm not guaranteed the next job. I have to feel, but if I put my value as to whether I get that next job, I can be destroyed. I have to do the job, feel like I've done a damn good job, and then let it go. And that's where you get your value from. So I think you've got to take care of your soul while you're going through this business, because it's very hard. You know, we're all on the line every day. And because our tool, our service, what we're providing as a medium of business is ourselves, it's even that much more important to take care of yourself, your soul.